only, then she's only going to make up the fast. So she might think, she not really, it's not the issue of the baby in that case. It's the issue of her being affected by the fast.
So fear for herself.
And she's going to make up the fast.
Make up the fast. If fear for herself and the baby.
Then she's going to make up the fast and feed a person for each day.
Okay.
Because she's actually, if she fasts for the baby and she breaks her fast, then she's actually able to fast.
Okay.
She can fast, but she broke it on the strength of somebody else,
Right.
outside entity besides herself, the baby.
Make up,
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So today we do Al-Qa'idah Al-Rabi'ah, the fourth principle. And the first principle from the 10 principles of Al-Istiqaamah. Al-Istiqaamah minna ilahiyya wa hiba al-Rabbaniyya. That being upright or being righteous is a ni'mah from Allah. It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So firstly, we gotta, as he said, seek Allah's help and assistance and seek His aid by making dua and things like that. And making sure that we're asking for guidance and we're asking for Allah to keep us firm on Al-Islam. And the second principle, حقيقة الاستقامة لزوم المنهج القويم والصراط المستقيم, was sticking to the straight path. And in that section he brought the athar of the Salaf, starting back with the Sahaba, the tafsir, the meaning of the ayat. إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا. In those different explanations of the ayat and the meaning of istiqamah to the end of it. And the third qa'idah was the asl al-istiqamah, istiqamat al-qalb, from last week, that the origin of being righteous or upright is that a person's heart is sound. A person's heart is upright, firstly. Not only because somebody might say, well, as long as my heart is good, then I'm good, right? But that's the asl of istiqamah, that the heart is upright and righteous. You heard that before? Allah knows what's in my heart. So if Allah knows what's in my heart, people use that as an excuse to disobey Allah. So when they disobey Allah and you try to use the other hadith, ad-din al-nasiha, and give your brother advice, say, come on, you extra. Allah knows what's in my heart. Sahih. Allah knows what's in our hearts, of course, but that's the origin, the asl. What's in the heart becomes apparent in a person's actions. And he used the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and he spoke about last week, istiqamat al-qalb, the fact that the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, إِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةً إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبُ. That small piece of flesh in the body, that if that small piece of flesh is correct, if it's upright, then the rest of the body falls in line with that small morsel, as they say, of flesh. And if it is corrupt and wicked and evil, then the rest of the body is evil. Ala wa hiya al-qalb, and that piece of flesh is the heart. And he brought the, who's that, Ibn al-Qayyim. Yes, the statement of Ibn al-Qayyim, and how the heart is the leader, and that the limbs, the rest of the body, are the soldiers of the heart, and that they fall in line with the heart. And that's based on that hadith. That statement of Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah is based on that hadith, that the heart is the leader of the body, and the limbs, the rest of the body, are in line, or they fall in line with the heart. طيب. Al-asl al-istiqamah, istiqamat al-qalb. That was last week, the origin of being righteous or upright is that the heart, it starts in the heart, but it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. So that statement that Allah knows in my heart is true. But it's not, that's not it. It doesn't end with what's in the heart. Al-Qaidatu al-Rabi'a, the fourth principle, Al-Istiqaamah al-Matluba min al-Abd hiya al-Sadad fa-in lam yaqdir fal-Muqaraba. And this is Jade, that the intent or the goal or the intent from Al-Istiqaamah should be to, the word used, as-Sadad, to be upon what is correct, we'll say, right? Loosely translated until we get to the definition that he gives. All right? He says, one, as-Sadad, to be on what is correct, and two, فَإِن لَمْ يَقْدِرْ فَالْمُقَارَبَةِ. And if you can't reach that, then to at least be close to what is correct, right? The goal is to hit the mark, let's say, hit the bullseye. And if you can't hit the bullseye, then you want to be as close to the bullseye as possible. The further out, the lower or the less points you get. طيب. وقد جمع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم هذين الأمرين في قوله. These two things we'll use, hitting the bullseye or being close to hitting the bullseye, those two things. He said that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned them both in the hadith. He gathered them both in this hadith. إن الدين يسر ولن يشاد الدين أحد إلا غلبه فسددوا وقاربوا وأبشروا. This hadith is in Sahih Muslim and Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu. And the first part is, mashallah, the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna deen yusr, that indeed, verily, the religion is easy. It's ease. And this is the statement of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The religion is easy. But what makes the religion easy? Anybody know?
Mercy of Allah, because if something is difficult for you to do, it always seems to be something easier, but you can receive the same reward as that thing that may have been difficult for you to do.
Okay, something might seem easy. Say it again. Something might seem
like if it's something in religion that you would want to do, it may be like difficult or burden for you to be consistent with doing that thing. Allah always seems to have something easier that you could do, but you could receive the same reward as that thing that may have been difficult for you. Like if you listen to a speech, how Barbara was saying, having noble character. Like, a person would want to have, get the benefits of praying all night and fasting all day, but you could see that same reward for doing that just by having good character.
Hasan al-Din, yeah.
So something like that.
It could be in one area you're not strong in, maybe. If I'm not able to, let's just say, okay, I'm not really strong at fasting Mondays and Thursdays, right? Another brother is strong at fasting, or sister's strong at that. It's easy for them. It might be difficult for somebody else. But you may be able to do something else and get the reward that they're not able to do. So many avenues for ajr, for reward. The many avenues of reward. Tayyib, a little more specific. What makes, because a person might say, for example, a person might say, since it's almost Ramadan, 30 days is long. Like a Muslim might say 30 days is long. 29 days, we can't eat all day. Let's just say a little newer Muslim, right? Generally, right? Like, what makes fasting easy? If you think back to the first time you fasted, right? The first time that you fasted, that you ever did a fast, did you fast correctly?
Consistent implementation.
Let's go all the way back to maybe the first time you fasted. Did you make any mistakes in your fast? Probably, right? Probably, more than likely. So, dang, I ain't know I could do that. I could, right? Because some people think that you can't even, some people think you can't brush your teeth. right?
I ain't know
I
you
did
could
that.
go.
Oh, well, in that sense, I guess you could say we've been given an example.
Yeah.
Huh?
We've
Right.
been given an example.
It's easy because what makes the deen easy is knowledge. Knowing what you can do and knowing what you can't do. With a lack of ilm, with a lack of knowledge, everything is a question mark. So you just, everything, I don't know. I'm not going to do that, I don't do that. You're on eggshells. Everything is, I don't know. Can you do that? You sure? Huh? Everything is, right? And you can't, the longer you live like that, you wear yourself out. You get worn down. As a brother said, it's not sustainable to keep going on years. You know, it wears down. And then after a while, a person just say, I'm just do it like this, right? If they don't learn the correct way to do something, they just go for, you just go with what you know. So the Prophet ﷺ said, "In the deen yusr," and that could be a whole thing in itself. It's easy, and that's why the ulama not make or come up with, but they extract qawaid, principles, and dhawabit. Dhawabit are like rules, like a rule of thumb for different things, because if you know these principles, it makes things a lot easier. For example, asl al-miyah al-tahara. The origin of water is that is what?
Wet.
Huh?
Wet.
It's pure.
Just work.
It's definitely wet. It is definitely wet. The asl of water is that it's pure. But how does that make life easy? Because, anybody know? How does that make life easy? The asl of water, all water, the origin of water is that it's pure. The origin is not of water is that it's filth and it's najis. The asl of water is that it's pure. This is a qaida. So how do you apply that in life to make life easy as a Muslim?
So, I mean, we use it, especially we use it for wudu.
We use it for wudu, jayid. So
It can be used to cleanse.
it can be used to cleanse, tayyib. All water can be used to cleanse,
Not stolen water.
not stolen water.
I guess in its original form, or
Tayyib. Let's just say, for example, what makes it easy is that bottle of water right there, right? Can you use that water for wudu?
No.
How do you know?
Unless you know it's, not pure, then you can use it.
Unless you know it's not pure. Tayyib. The asl is what?
That is pure.
The asl is pure. So if the water shuts off in the building, Allah protect us, and we need to make wudu, we grab that bottle. There's no question. There's no double, I use this water. Do it have to be coming out the faucet? Is this the way it came down out of the sky? The asl of water is that it's pure.
And you know that it's pure.
You know it's pure. Unless you have
You know what
some,
you're doing, so.
you know it's pure, you know what you're doing. It's easy. It's not even, right? Unless, like you said, you for sure that some filth, some najis dropped in it and you can't use it. If it's no sure, what we're sure about is that the water is pure. The origin of water is pure. That one even closer. Because I remember years ago, a brother was working for the trash truck. He was working on he was working the trash truck. So he was upset one day. He was upset. Said he was like mad. Said he couldn't pray. It was like Asr. It was almost Asr, I think. Or Asr might have went out. I think Dhuhr went out. And it was like, it was Asr or something. He missed the Salah, and another one was getting ready to come. He missed another one. I said, why did you pray? I said, because, man, I'm out here working on the garbage truck, and it's like this water out here, and it smell like it got najis in it. It smell like it's urine. I don't know what it is. Right? I don't know what it is. Is it water? It's water, but it's... he thought it was urine. You sure it's urine? He ain't sure it's urine, but it's garbage. You don't know, it don't smell right. The asl of miyah, the asl of water is pure. Unless you get something concrete pulling you off of the origin, then you stick with the origin. If you find out later that's something different. But you gotta pray, right? You gotta use the water. it wasn't that the water they used to make wudu, it was that something got on his clothes. He didn't want to pray with the stuff on his clothes because he didn't know if it was, he didn't know what was in the water. Point being, if you know these qawa'id, these principles, it makes life easy. The origin of water is that it's pure. I'm not really going in and smelling it. Water could have a smell that doesn't necessarily necessitate that it's najis all the time, right? Or when it's raining, you know how it's raining?
The smell in the air.
That smell in the air, but you know how it's raining, right? And you walk and that water kicks off your shoe onto the back of your throat, right? Tayyib. Then you go to pray. So a person may go to pray and they may see the marks on the back of the clothes. So you can't pray. You got some water on your back. You got to wash it off. Why you got to wash off water? Right? It's not. What makes it najis? The asl of water is that it's pure. It doesn't automatically, because water gets on your clothes, it doesn't automatically make it najis that you have to wash it off and stuff like that. Things like that make things a lot easier. It's not even it doesn't bother you at all. It's water. I'm sure it's water. Now, I'm not sure if it's filth or najis in it, so I don't have to go down that route until I get some surety. So the Prophet ﷺ said, the deen is easy. وَلَنْ يُشَادَ الدِّينَ أَحَدٌ إِلَّا غَلَبَهُ. And no person goes overboard. Nobody goes overboard in the deen except that it will overcome them, basically. They won't be able to continue. Burn out, drown, however you want to call it. Which is another benefit, that you don't know what's going overboard without knowledge. Sometimes people that are following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ are described as going overboard because you follow Muhammad ﷺ. Right? That doesn't make it true. That doesn't make it a true claim or a true description of that person. But if a person doesn't know what the sunnah is, you could be doing the sunnah and they think you're going overboard. Or they might be overboard because they don't know. So you're not doing something and they think you're supposed to be doing something. All of that goes back to having knowledge of what you're doing and what you can do and what you can't do. He said nobody goes overboard in the religion except that the religion will overtake them. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, and this is where he said, فَسَدِّدُوا فَسَدِّدُوا. So be on what is correct, وَقَارِبُوا. Or if you can't hit the bullseye, be close as you can to the bullseye, وَأَبْشِرُوا, and have glad tidings. فَالْمَطْلُوبُ فِي الْبَابِ الْإِسْتِقَامَةِ السَّدَادِ. So what we're supposed to be aiming for is as-sadad. وَالسَّدَادُ أَن تُصِيبَ السُّنَّةِ. As-sadad and tusib as-sunnah. As-sadad, being on what is correct, is that a person tusib as-sunnah, that they practice the sunnah in everything that they do. Like, what if a person's not able to practice every sunnah? Then they should do what? Come as close as possible to doing what the sunnah is. For example, the sunnah of Fajr, the 2 rak'ahs before Fajr, right? What's the sunnah? Pray 2 rak'ahs. Like, that's it. Sunnah is 2 rak'ahs, but it's a little, shake. Sunnah of Fajr is what? Pray 2 rak'ahs. Sahih? That's it? No detail?
But you can pray in after too, though. Like if you come, like say you join the salat, that the salat is already in progress, you can pray the 2 rak'ahs after the salat too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what's closer, before Fajr or after Fajr? Closer to the sunnah is what? Before Fajr. Tayyib, say you miss them. Just leave them all together. You can make them up. But let's say we're all here at the same time, before the salat, before salat al-Fajr. The sunnah is what? 2 rak'ahs before Fajr, right? Jayyid. But what's even closer to the sunnah? That you read what the Prophet ﷺ read in those 2 rak'ahs. Yeah? Al-Kafirun wal-Ikhlas. That's even closer. You with me? A person might say, well, I don't know them 2 surahs. Pray 2 rak'ah before Fajr. Pray the two. If you can hit it on the bullseye just like he did it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hit it on the bullseye. Read exactly what he read in the first rak'ah, and then read exactly what he read, the surah he read in the second rak'ah. You with me? Hitting the bullseye. So as-sadad, which is to practice the sunnah in everything that you, in statements and that, and you're going to go a little further. He says, tusibu sunnah, that you practice the sunnah. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لعلي رضي الله عنه لما طلب منه أن يعلمه الدعاء يدعو الله به, that subhanallah, قال قل اللهم اهدني وسددني, that when Ali came and he asked the Prophet ﷺ to teach him, Ali wanted the Prophet ﷺ to teach him a dua that he can pray to Allah with. He told him, ﷺ, say, "Oh Allah, guide me wasaddidni, guide me wasaddidni, and put me on what is correct," which is to follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. فَالْعَبْدُ الْمَطْلُوبُ مِنْهُ أن يجاهد نفسه على أن يصيب السداد. So what we're supposed to be doing is doing our best to practice what the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And sometimes some things are easier for other people than others. It might be easy for you to pray at night, and it's easy for him to fast. It's easy for her to fast, it's easy for her to pray at night. It's opportunity. There's plenty of opportunity, right? This person could read the Quran. They have time. They can sit and they can read and read and read. This person doesn't have time to read the Quran like that. They can only read whatever they can read, right? Every day. It's time. It's opportunity. Point being that everybody, as he says, yujahida nafsa. Everybody is in competition with who? With themselves. Yujahid nafsak. That we in competition with ourselves. We got to fight against our own selves in order to get to where we're kind of trying to get to. He said that we're supposed to be trying to, that's the goal, hit the bullseye, which is, in this case, practicing the sunnah. وَأَنْ يُصِيبَ هَدِيَ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ وَنَهْجَ وَسُلُوكَهُ, and that a person follows the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ and follows his way and his adab, the way he carried himself, all of those things, not just in one area, not just in the way he ﷺ believed, in the belief that he taught, ﷺ, not just in Aqidah, not only in Aqidah, but definitely in Aqidah. But what about in the way we behave as Muslims? It's from the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's books written on books and books and books and books and books. That statement of Abdullah ibn Mubarak, rahimahullah. He said, طلبنا أدبا 20 سنة, I think he said. وطلبنا علما طلبنا أدبا 30 سنة, or something like that. Abdullah ibn Mubarak. وطلبنا علما 20 سنة. كانوا. He said that we learned adab, adabaki, whatever you want to call it. We learned that, we studied that for 30 years. 30 years studying adab. As soon as you come in with your minhaj. We learned adab for 30 years. Then we learned knowledge, the different branches of knowledge, fiqh, hadith, tafsir. Then we studied knowledge for 20 years. He said the people used to learn adab before knowledge. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, rahimahullah.
Is it authentic? Is one authentic? It said Prophet some say he can't perfect good character. I read that.
That again?
But the Prophet some said he came to perfect good character.
He came to perfect. There you go. Makarim al-akhlaq.
I got a book on that.
Yeah, Makarim al-akhlaq. Adab is major. We downplay it like, as long as my aqidah good, I'm cool. Which is basically a pass without saying it. Nobody's going to say it's cool to be disobedient. But it's basically a pass to be disobedient. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool. I'm Aqidah. I ain't. So you can act how you want to act. You can disobey Allah and sin and sin and sin and do whatever you want because your Aqidah is good. If your Aqidah was good, it would prevent you from openly sinning and doing all that stuff. And that comes a whole nother issue of belittling sins as if sins is not a big deal, which is, that idea in itself. Does anybody know who believes that?
What's the,
That sins are not, The Murji'ah. Yeah, the Murji'ah. One of the original groups of innovation, the Murji'ah. That's from their
They want to
thinking.
say the heart too. They don't
Right.
want to say, yeah.
And they're on different levels. Some of them, they on different levels. The lowest level is that, or let's say the closest level, as the ulama say, to the people of the Sunnah, is that they say the actions aren't from Iman. But some of the Murji'ah say as long as a person knows that Allah is Rabbul Alameen, is the Lord of the world, then they're a believer. Just the knowledge that they know that. So the ulama argue, how you going to say that? Shaitan knew that Allah was the Lord of the, you know what I'm saying? So there is argued. But point being is that idea comes from a group of innovation. So a person could be practicing bid'ah in the way that they believe. Their belief, they might have a belief of the Murji'ah and don't even know it. Belittling sins ain't a big deal. It's not going to affect my Iman. That goes back to the statements of the Murji'ah. So the point is that we're supposed to be trying to hit the bullseye when it comes to following the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in all angles. وَيُجَاهِدَ نَفْسَهُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ فَإِن لَمْ يَتَمَكَّنْ فَعَلَيْهِ بِالْمُقَارَبَةِ. If a person is not able to hit the bullseye directly, then what they should do is come as close as possible to following the Sunnah. Some things might prevent us. If I don't know those two surahs for Fajr, if I don't know Al-Kafirun and Al-Ikhlas, then I can't do that part, right? But I can still pray 2 rak'ah before Fajr. Are they accepted? The 2 rak'ah before Fajr accepted without Al-Kafirun and Ikhlas? They good?
Yes.
Tayyib. As long as I got what?
As long as you fulfill arcans, all of the responsibilities of the deed itself, period.
Hey, as long as I got the arkan salat, al-Fatiha, as long as my al-Fatiha and I got, he said wudu. Inshallah. Tayyib. If you can't hit the bullseye, we should try to come as close as possible. قال الله تعالى فاستقيموا إليه واستغفروا. In Surah Fussilat, where Allah says, so be upright regarding Allah Jalla wa Ala, wastaghfiruhu, and seek Allah's forgiveness. So he mentioned 2 things. So Shaykh Abdul Razak, hafidhullah, he says, ذكر الاستغفار بعد الأمر بالاستقامة فيه إشارة. He said, the fact that Allah mentioned in this ayat, he said to seek forgiveness after trying to be upright, and obedient to Allah, seek Allah's forgiveness. Right? In the same ayat. So first, try to be upright. And then he says, وَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ, and seek Allah's forgiveness. He said, فيه إشارة إلى أن العبد لا بد له من تقصير مهما جاهد النفس على الاستقامة. He said the ayat shows that there's no getting around it. That a person is going to fall short when they're trying to be upright. Therefore, they do what? Seek Allah's forgiveness. You with me? Allah said, فَاسْتَقِيمُوا إِلَيْهِ, be upright, be righteous regarding Allah Jalla wa Ala. Then Allah said, after that, وَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ, and seek Allah's forgiveness. Seek Allah's forgiveness from what? A person got to fall short. Bani Adam, we make mistakes. We don't hit the mark every time. So a person falls short and they don't hit the mark, to do what? Seek Allah's forgiveness. وَلِهَذَا قَالَ الْحَافِظ ibn Rajab rahimahullah. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, he said about the ayat, that this ayat shows أنه لا بد من تقصير في الاستقامة المأمور بها فيجبر ذلك بالاستغفار المقتضي للتوبة والرجوع إلى الاستقامة. He said that it's a must that a person falls short, which makes a person have to go. When a person falls short, then they have to go and do what? Seek Allah's forgiveness, make tawbah and repent to Allah, and return back to the obedience of Allah Jalla wa Ala. طيب. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, recorded by Imam Ahmed, where the Messenger ﷺ said, سَدِّدُوا وَقَارِبُوا وَلَا يُحَافِظ عَلَى الْوُضُوءِ إِلَّا مُؤْمِنٍ. He said, سَدِّدُوا, the same two words, سَدِّدُوا. Saddid, as-sadad is to practice the sunnah, as we'll say. Hit the mark. What? Qaribu. And if you can't, then come as close as possible. This shows that it's not extra to try to do everything you're supposed to do. This is Islam. Islam is that our Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam, is our example. And that's what we're supposed to try to follow, like Abdullah bin Umar used to do. Radiallahu anhu. He would try to walk in the footsteps, the same place where the Prophet ﷺ put his foot. The Abdullah bin Umar would want to try to put his foot in that same footprint. Radiallahu anhu. And look how Allah raised him. Allah raised him. So in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, Saddidu wa qaribu wa la yuhafiz ala al-wudu illa mu'min. And no one guards their wudu except for the believer. And then the Sahihain and Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, and then the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam called Saddidu wa qaribu, the same two words. Saddidu, which is hit the mark, hit the bullseye when following the sunnah, not just in one area, all areas. Wa qaribu, and if you can't, then come as close as possible. فَالسَّدَادُ هُوَ حَقِيقَةُ الْإِسْتِقَامَةِ. So the reality of being upright and righteous that a person practices and follows the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the gauge. The gauge that we use is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is a whole issue in itself. What is our gauge? How do we know that we're doing something right? How do we know that we're doing something wrong? How do we know if we're going overboard? How do we know if we're falling short? Well, what's the gauge, and what are we using to determine what? That we have to use the guidance of the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. وَهُوَ الْإِصَابَةُ فِي جَمِيعِ الْأَقْوَالِ وَالْأَعْمَالِ وَالْمَقَاصِدِ. And it is that sadad, it is to do it in what? Statements, actions, intentions. Statements, actions, intentions. And that covers pretty much all areas. Pretty much all areas. Intentions in the heart, right? Which could include the belief. Actions, statements on the tongue. Actions of the limbs, which includes all areas of Iman. And that's important, that following the Sunnah, we can say it again, is not restricted to one area. And that's why at the end of Al-Aqidah al-Wasatiyah, Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah rahimahullah, the whole book is on Aqidah. Asma wa Sifat, the names and attributes, how the Ahlul Sunnah believe, and the names and attributes, the Dalil for Ayat Quran, right? But at the end, he brings the Sifat of the Adab of Ahlul Sunnah also. Sheikh Salih Ali Sheikh Hafidullah said that the one who tries to separate, in his explanation of Aqidah Wasatiyah, he said the one who tries to separate Adab and the importance of Adab from Aqidah, he said that person doesn't understand Aqidah. To try to separate it as if it's not that important, he said that person doesn't understand Aqidah. He said, وَقَدْ أَمَرَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم عَلِيًّا أَنْ يَسْأَلَ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ السَّدَادَ وَالْهُدَى. And that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he commanded Ali, when Ali asked him, radiallahu anhu, Ali asked him what dua to make, he told him, and this is a short dua, 4 words, really 3 words in Arabic, but they're heavy. Ali radiallahu anhu asked him, what can I say to make dua? He said, say, Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Allahumma ihdini wa saddidni. Something simple that we can, inshallah, memorize and use. طيب. He says, وَالْمُقَارَبَةِ أَنْ يُصِيبَ ما يقرب من الغرض إن لم يصب الغرض نفسه. So to come close is what? Al-Muqaraba, that's what we use and come close to the bullseye. We use the bullseye is to hit the mark and the order come close. He says, in lam yusib al-ghard, that if you can't hit the mark, meaning we're not intentionally not hitting the mark because we're in a rush, right? We might be in a rush, right? We might not be able to do everything. But if we have the time to do everything that we can do, then that's what we should be trying to do. We're not saying that you can't pray, for example, the 2 rak'ahs before Fajr without saying Al-Kafirun and Ikhlas. I'm not saying that. You can. And you might be in a rush, really. But what if you have time? If you have time to do it, right, then you should do everything that you can do. You got time. The adhan is not, the Iqamah is not for 15 more minutes, and you're sitting there. You should try to pray with everything that you can do in that time period, meaning?
What's the translation of the dua?
Allahumma. Oh Allah, guide me. And if you use the definition that he gives for as-sadad, was saddidni. Saddidni, as-sadad is tusibu sunnah, that you hit the mark when following the sunnah, that you follow the sunnah exactly in all areas. So Allahumma, guide me, and I'll let y'all translate it.
You kind of just said it, right?
Yeah. And put me on the sunnah, or however you want to word it.
Okay.
Guide me and make me of the people who follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? However you want to word it, something like that. As-sadad is, the word literally means, as-sadad, as-sawab, was correct. Min al-qawl al-amal, was correct as far as a statement or action. But even more specific to what we're talking about, that you follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As-sadad is in following the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. So he said that al-muqaraba is to come, if you can't hit the mark, that you do, you come as close to it as possible. If you can't hit the bullseye, then you come, if you can't hit, meaning don't intentionally not hit it. That if it comes to a point where you can't do it, just try to do as much as you can do. Try to do as much as you can do. He says, فَتَكُونُ مُقَارَبَتُهُ عَنْ غَيْرِ عَمْدٍ. So a person coming as close as possible, they're not intentionally going for that. What they're going for is the bullseye, right? We're shooting for the bullseye. We're trying to do everything that we can do to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and everything that we can do to the best of our ability. We want to do everything. Like if we're not able to do it, then we come as close as possible, and that's the importance of the hadith, right? That's the importance of the hadith, that the Sahaba, they narrated everything that they saw. So we know that what, for example, in Salatul Dhuhr or Asr, that is silent. But in the hadith, the Sahaba noticed, right, after the Prophet ﷺ made the opening takbir, Allahu Akbar, they said that you were silent for some time before you started reading. You were silent. You didn't say anything for a while, and then he started to read. I'm sorry, that wasn't Dhuhr and Asr, because that one was silent. That's another hadith. This hadith, they were silent. He said, before you started to read, they were silent. There was silence before you started to read out loud, which means it wasn't Dhuhr Asr, right? So what are you saying? What were you saying during that period of silence? You with me? Everybody get the picture? He does the takbiratul ihram, Allahu Akbar. Let's just say it's Maghrib. I'm not sure what salat it was, but it was a loud prayer. So they say, Ra'aytu sakutak. You saw that you were silent before you started to read. What are you saying? I acknowledge. What are you saying? I want to say what you're saying. Huh? And he told him that the dua that he was saying before the Al-Fatiha, right? Before Al-Fatiha. Now, if a person can learn that dua and do it, then that's even better. Right? That's even better. Muqaraba. But it's not intentional. It's not intentional that we leave that off under the type of attitude that's sunnah. So, is it going to break my salat? No. Well, like that, that's dangerous. Salam al-afiyah. So, okay, we'll stop there.
I heard somebody say something like that before about they came to the masjid, they didn't offer the two, and they just sat down and started talking.
Mm.
I was like, he was like, oh, it's not obligatory, so.
It's not obligatory. What's not obligatory?
Offering the two rakats in the masjid before you sit down. He said that's not obligatory, so.
He said it's not an obligatory what?
Sunnah.
It's not an obligatory sunnah.
I mean, even if it isn't like that's still like
The attitude, I'm with you. Yeah, the attitude. The hukum is one thing. The ruling, that's a different issue. What's the actual ruling on those two rakats when you come to masjid? But I'm with you. The attitude that it's not one of the. Oh, all right, well, that's like that. The intent is if we can do it, we should do it. Not miss the mark, and then what reason do you have not to do it in that case? Especially we talking about you have time, you have the ability to do those things. What reason would you have not to do it? Except that you got to fight against your own nafs, laziness. A lot of times we just lazy, right? It's what's preventing you from praying two rakats. And you gonna sit here and talk for 10 minutes?
Or if you don't know the importance of it, like the category
Jade.
it falls under too.
You might not know the importance of it. Right. Yeah. If you don't know knowledge, if you don't know how important that those two rakats are, then you might just miss them, just leave them. You don't know. Then you don't know how important they are.
It's hard to imagine this individual don't understand.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Salam alaikum, man. But if we knew that stuff, how important in the level of some things, then we wouldn't take that attitude of that's just sunnah. You don't have to do that. Now, you're not talking about an issue, something happens, and it's like, well, do I have to make my salat up because I did this? Well, in that case, well, no, that doesn't break the salat. Meaning, what's the ruling on the salat? Okay, that doesn't break your salat because that thing that you missed was a sunnah, and missing the sunnah doesn't break the salat, right? Not like that. That's a little different. But if we're praying the salat, we should try to do all of the sunnah in the salat. What's sunnah in the salat? We should try to do all of them. If we can, we have the ability. We're not pressed for time. It might cause you an extra 30 seconds to 45 seconds that you might not have if you're at work. Sometimes, you're at work, you really don't have time to extend and stay in ruku' as long as you want to, right? You can't stay in sajda as long as you would like to when you're at work. You got to work and you got to get back. So you might, fulfill all of the pillars and conditions of the salat, but you might not do the sunnah. You might not you might not read that longest surah that you know. You might read one of the shortest surahs. You got to get back, right? Not in those situations. We're talking about situations where it's open, you can do it, that we should try to hit the mark. Inshallah ta'ala. Tayyib. We'll stop there. Inshallah. Any questions? Tayyib. We'll start next week. Al-Qa'idah al-Khamisa. You got a question?
Yeah. The ayah in Surah Fussilat.
Yes.
The law says, be upright, seek Allah's forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't seek Allah's forgiveness, if you don't hit your mark, and you just, rely, you say, well, my intention was so-and-so. You know what I mean? And just leave it at that.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Is that, incorrect?
If you don't seek Allah's forgiveness, again, and you didn't hit the mark.
Right. So, you're trying to accomplish something, right? And it don't work out.
It won't work out.
And you say, mashallah, my intention was, to go, I'm cool. And you just leave it at that and you don't seek Allah's forgiveness. Is that going against what Allah is saying here?
It depends. It depends what you're trying to do, number one. For example, if what you're trying to do is let's say, for example, you're trying to do something that is sunnah, right? We should be trying to hit the mark when we follow sunnah. We don't hit the mark, right? Seek Allah's forgiveness for not practicing the sunnah. Obligatory. Seeking Allah's forgiveness in all cases is matlub. That's recommended and required, is good. But if, for example, I missed the mark on following the sunnah, right? Do I have to say astaghfirullah? You got me? Do I have to say astaghfirullah? I missed the sunnah. Is it a sin to unintentionally miss a sunnah? Is that a sin?
No,
No. It's not a sin to unintentionally miss a sunnah.
because the deed is based on intention.
These based on tayyib.
Accuracy.
Is it a sin to intentionally leave off the sunnah?
No.
Not in for example, not the sunnah in salat, the 2 rak'ahs before fajr. Sunnah is what? Read al-kafirun wal-ikhlas. If a person doesn't read those two, they just read al-fatiha. Right? Are they sinful? They're not sinful. Right? But let's just say, for example, I prayed my 2 rak'ah and I come to you. You say, dang, you prayed your 2 already? Like I do to my kids. I say, dang, you prayed already? Oh, Zisha, you prayed Isha that fast? You say, yeah. So, what you read?
Right.
That was like, right? So say I come and I pray 2 rak'ah and I come to you, start talking to you. You say, you prayed already? I say, yeah. You say, you read al-kafirun in ikhlas? I say, no, I just read al-fatiha. And you tell me, even sunnah, you should have read it al-kafirun in ikhlas. Astaghfirullah, you right, man. Taqsir. From me, I fell short, right? I could say astaghfirullah, dang. Why? I didn't do anything haram, right? But I missed the mark, and I probably had the ability to hit the mark. Could be from me being lazy. The shaitan could have, brother, waiting on you. Something to throw you off from focusing and hitting the mark. So I turn and I say, astaghfirullah, dang, you right. I could have hit the mark and I didn't miss it, and I say, astaghfirullah. Seek Allah's forgiveness on something like that. Now, if a person is trying to do something, I kind of think what you're saying, but I'm not sure. If a person is trying to I forgot what I was about to say.
Right, he said he made the intention to do the thing, but he, for whatever reason, he missed it. I mean, he still needs to seek forgiveness.
I mean, it's no prohibition on it. But is it a sin you're saying?
No.
When you say, do you have to seek forgiveness, what do you mean?
Not having to seek forgiveness, but like when people just rely on their intention, say, oh, my intention was like you basically saying, like, well, my intention was to do this, so what I mean.
Right.
That's cool. That's good enough.
Possibly, but what is istighfar going to hurt you? That's going to put you, inshallah, in a better position with Allah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, Allah can forgive you. It's under Allah. Allah can forgive you for it. If it was something punishable, He can forgive you for it, or He can reward you based on your intention. But what about the person who's in the same category? They do the same thing and they seek Allah's forgiveness. They've been in a better position. They're doing more. Even the fact that they missed it, they're doing more by making istighfar and following the ayat. It puts them in a better position, generally. Allahu a'lam. Allahu a'lam. But that comes from as-sadad wal muqaraba. That if you can do it, and even if you trying to do something and you fall short, you miss the mark, you can still hit the mark by following the ayat and saying astaghfirullah. You still hit the mark in another area. You might have missed it in that first one, but you bounced back on the second one, right? You tried, you missed it, and then you follow the ayat and say astaghfirullah after and hit the mark and follow on the ayat. Allah Akbar. Islam is a ni'mah. Ad-deen, inna deen yusr. The Prophet ﷺ said, that hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim. Akhraj Bukhari, in Sahih Bukhari. That indeed the religion is ease. It's easy. It's easy.
Especially when you think about the narration of how many times the Prophet said something. When you think about that, it's just like, why not?
Why not?
If he did it and he was promised Jannah, we
Way off. We
way far from that.
You know?
So that's why
What could it hurt?
I try to tell my kids, like, it's not about being perfect, but it's a balance. You gotta try to balance. You don't never know what that one thing
Never
might
know,
be.
man.
To tip your scale, get on in there.
Yeah. You never know. You never know.
Never know.
The Prophet ﷺ made istighfar 100 times in some hadith. It says, if we do that now, if a brother was to sit here and make istighfar, to a lot of people, it's like, I don't know, he just be sitting there, man, like he be going in. It's not, meaning, it's said like it's not something praiseworthy that he's doing. It's almost looked at like you just gonna sit there, like it's almost like you just gonna sit there and make zikr. Like that's a problem, right? Like yeah, he you know he in his bag, he on his bag and was John again.
Almost said it in jest.
Yeah, like it's almost like what's wrong with it though? The Prophet ﷺ used to make that's istighfar over 100 times in some hadith, 70 times. The Messenger ﷺ. So when we do that kind of stuff, it's almost like, all right, if you're trying to do it all the way, right now, the time we living in, you extra, which is dangerous. That by itself is dangerous. You extra.
Somebody mentioned in the statement that people be saying nowadays, calling people super selfie, like
Super celibate.
yeah, like you doing too much. Like,
Yeah, you're doing too much. Yeah, like that kind of talk. Now, a lot of times, Joker might be doing too much, but sometimes a person is doing Islam. This is Islam. We supposed to do this, and we're not supposed to do that. You ain't supposed to be talking to women. If I pull your coat and say, yo, you got, come on out. No, we're Muslims. You look like me. We got beards, we got those on, we got such the marks, like, we're reflection of one another. Right now, you making me look crazy out here. And it ain't just me, you making us. Because the non-Muslims come and say, well, now they start categorizing us. Oh, I know you this one, and he not really this one. Or she not this, but she's a real one. Right? She's real, but she's not real. I say, well, why you say that? And they don't care. Huh? This one, they know it's always some small, well, they work with this one, and, they come by the house, and she does, they don't know hiding sins when it comes to, they're not into that, hiding your sins and stuff. They telling you what it is. He does this, he always down such and such. They put it out there. You know what I'm saying? They start categorizing based on what they say. Based on what they say. Because even the non-Muslims know the Muslim is supposed to be on a high level of the way you carry yourself. So when we don't do that, if we do anything other than that, right, we're not real to them.
It's almost like you can't even get upset when they call you a fake Muslim.
Yeah.
It must be something that you're doing.
You did something.
You ain't supposed to be doing that. Like,
They know it. They like, he ain't a real Muslim.
It'd be that and our parents too, because majority of us go out of our way to try to follow the sunnah of our parents.
Right.
And when they recognize us as distinguishing ourselves
Mm-hmm.
from them,
Yeah.
and then they be like, you're not so perfect with
Yeah.
that kufi and that
Yeah.
I saw you down
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Messing around with them people,
That's
you
what-
supposed to be messing
They be
around
like,
with
see,
and
you
stuff.
ain't supposed to be, or they ask you, you're not supposed to be doing that, are you?
Mhm.
Are you supposed to be doing that? Or you not supposed to be? I remember I went to the what's the name one time to get I had to get my license renewed. So I go in there and get my license renewed. So I fill out stuff, go sit down. They like, I sit in the chair. I almost leave from a can of paint. She got from behind the thing, right? She was ready to take the picture and looked over and said, looked from behind the camera and said, where's your kufi? Dead serious. Where's your kufi? And I'm like, is she talking to me? I'm like, huh? She said, where's your kufi? I said, it's in the car. Mm-hmm. My nephew's a Muslim, and then she wanted his whole John.
Yeah.
His whole, why, and ain't, didn't take the picture. She wanted to know where's my kufi and why I don't have it on. Just going to get my license. I said, miss, you know. It's not really, you know, I don't really have to wear kufi.
Right.
I'm getting all this, but they know that, okay, y'all supposed to do certain things, and y'all not supposed to do certain things. When you don't do them, they hold us accountable. They'll pull your card. But if we come and say something to one another, we mad at each other. Allahul Musta'an.
Sometimes it be the approach.
A lot of times it's our approach.
With each other.
Yeah.
Like, and it be like one of the biggest things a lot of brothers forget is when Allah told Prophet Sallallahu you would have came to the people talking rough,
Mm-hmm.
it would have rejected you.
Right.
So when we leave off, man, that's part of adab right there.
Yeah.
When we leave off that and we just go at each other, you know, like it's
Yeah.
one like me and you is one thing.
Yeah.
We know each other
Right,
from
right.
all the way out here, so
Yeah.
we can approach each other in a way
Right.
that probably we know would offend each other
Yeah.
and what wouldn't, and we know how hard we can go at each other. But
Right.
you got some people,
Or you sit down and come up.
they go so hard.
Mm-hmm.
So and I don't their intentions be good,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? But sometimes they go to the point where they want to check you on something that you're doing, and then they want to wait around for the effects.
Right.
They
They want to see you change it.
Yeah,
They want to see it now. Like, let me see you right now do it.
Yeah, they want to see you put the cigarette
Yeah.
out. And
I just gave you the hop to do
yeah,
it.
I just gave you the hop on that. Now, what you gonna do?
So, hey.
You know, like
Sometimes it could be on the other tip too, like, if a Kafir say something, they like, oh, they don't know no better. But if another Muslim say something, oh, you think you know everything.
Yeah.
So it's just
Right.
kinda
Yeah. That shows that somebody, you gotta really want good.
yeah,
You gotta want good. You have to want it. Somebody, whether they not Muslim, if a non-Muslim came and told you that you're not supposed to be doing that, what, you gonna argue with them? And you wrong?
yeah, you can.
You know what I'm saying? How you gonna argue? Well, even if they not Muslim, you wrong. If you're wrong, you're wrong. It don't even make a difference.
Accept the truth.
We gotta accept the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We wrong. If a Muslim came, we wrong, but sometimes we get offended, like you said, because we don't. If you come to somebody and correct them and it seems like you really don't care, it's more likely they're going to accept it.
Wow.
It's more likely. Then you come and you screaming at somebody, you don't know the person like that. You screaming at them and carrying, they don't. I mean, at the end of the day, people go back to what they know. Nobody talks to me like that. That's what people go to. They go into that shell. Hold up. People don't talk. I don't let nobody talk to me like that. Now it's all defense, and there's nothing. What you saying means nothing. There's no. I'm not even listening to nothing else you said because the way you said it, and people shut down. And then the one talking says that, oh, you don't want the truth. Regardless, forget how I said it, because brothers will say, you gotta give them the haq. Whatever costs, the haq, the truth must be. We have to stand for it. Yeah, but it's a way you stand for it. Yeah. Hikmah. Yeah, like that ayat. If you would have spoken to them harshly, they wouldn't have listened to you.
Yeah.
That's from the Sunnah, following. That's from guidance in the
That's
Quran.
for the Prophet Sallallahu
What about us?
What about us? Yeah, like we.
I mean, sometimes
Likewise.
you approach somebody, in a manner you just speak to them themselves. Sometimes they might get offended by you, pointing something out or saying something.
That's guilt, though.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
A lot of times.
Somebody know they wrong.
Sometimes you know they wrong, they don't want you, So what you can't really do nothing about that, but you know, and Allah knows that you went in the best manner possible you can go. If they still mad, alhamdulillah, you did your wajib, you did your thing, what's obligatory for you to do. We can't make people do anything, but all I can do is what I'm supposed to do. Because if you don't say anything, right? If you don't say anything, they get back and they remember, yo, you let me go and you ain't even say nothing.
Let me do that, John, right in front of you.
You know what I'm saying? Then they be advising you. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? They be advising you. Like, you can't just let people,
It's tricky. It's tricky because it's like, you really gotta check yourself before you approach a situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I remember we were sitting in class and Mukbal, when he had read something to us, and he was saying how when you're trying to stop a munkar, you don't know the condition of the person. If you think you're gonna make the situation worse, you stay away from that.
Right.
Because then it could become, even your whole approach could become not permissible because out of fear of you making it worse.
Right. So hey.
So it's like,
Right.
it's a real tricky situation. That's why it's like, everything, like they say, everything ain't for everybody to do.
Yeah. Everything ain't for everybody.
And
Sometimes the only thing you can do is hate it in your heart. That means you might have to just get up and get out of there, whatever it is. You might just have to get up and leave because you don't really know what else to do. You're not equipped. You might not be equipped to deal with that evil in front of you. As far as with your hand, changing it literally with your hand, or you might not even be equipped to say anything. Like you might be looking, you're like, I don't know, but something's not right. But if you open your mouth and say something, people gonna want to know, well, why? Why are you saying what you're saying? If you don't know why, it's going to be difficult to fix it. So the only thing you might be able to do at that point is hate it in your heart. And hate it in your heart, get up, leave, change, whatever you're going to do. But it takes knowledge, knowing, and it takes hikmah, some type of wisdom to be able to, put things in their proper place. That's it. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.